Alright, Shalom. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to the Akim around the world that pushes truth and sincerity. I'd like to cover a topic here entitled, pride coming before destruction. Because really and truly, having a proud spirit, if you're in this truth, is something you have to try to work on. But you realize is a spirit that you might find this plague you often. Today Romans 12, verse 3, right? It says, "For I say, to the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think," which is something that might tend to happen to you from time to time. You understand? That spirit that is trying to encourage you to think high-minded, or to think too highly of yourself, especially when you start to acquire more knowledge. You understand? When you start to see that you understand things that people in the world don't understand, it'll start to affect your way of thinking. You might start to think high-mindedly, which really and truly is something that's not pleasing to the Most High. Because like the scriptures say, like it say here in Ecclesiasticus 3, verse 18, it says, "The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord." So really and truly, no matter how wise you might gain this truth, you always have to try to be humble at all times. Right? Not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, which is with a clear mind, according as the Most High had dealt with every man the measure of faith. Because how do the worldly saying is go, wisdom is bleak, and bleak means to have little. You understand? To have little or no faith. So whenever you start to think more high-mindedly, it does affect your faith also. Yesterday, Proverbs 16, I'll start from 17. It's from 18, but I also like 17. I say, "The highway of the upright is to depart from evil." Right? And that is a good example of being high-minded. Because if it's something the Most High don't delight in, then you know it's an evil thing. I say, he that keepeth his way, preserveth his soul. And that is really one of the jobs you have in this truth, to use the scriptures to try to keep your way aright. It says, "Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall." So even the scripture is telling you, the minute you start to become proud and high-minded, that is, you're making a path of destruction for yourself, which is not something you want so close to the end. It said, "Better is it to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoils with the proud." Because really and truly, the people who is the high people in this world, that's how the Americans say, the proud and the free. Them is some of the most proud people in this world. And really and truly, right now, they have all the spoils. You don't want to be partakers with them. It's best you be with the people of a low estate and a low continents. You understand? Whose spirit does think humble, and not with the people who high-minded. That really is the better way to be. You see, better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoils with the proud. So the scriptures in many places always tell you, always try to be humble. Humility is what the Most High delight in. He delight in it. He delight in humility in men and in women. But with women it's different. But with a man, you have to try to be humble. The scriptures aren't telling you to don't be a man. Okay, there's a difference between being humble and being effeminate. It's a very big difference. But it's telling you to be humble in spirit. You say the Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, in the Apocrypha, chapter 10, I'll start from 12, right? To say the beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High and his heart is turned away from his Maker. So, really and truly, there is not something that you want for yourself. Even though we can choose with faith, this is something you have to pray against, that it never happen, because you don't want to depart from your Maker, because we know the penalty of they that do. He say for pride is the beginning of sin, because when you become proud, you will start to transgress at one point or the other. And he that hate it shall pour out abomination, really and truly. And even though it mightn't cause you to transgress, you could say pride, when you start to become proud, which is against what the Most High tell you, come like you're transgressing right there. You see, and he that had it pour out abomination. Is saying, therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. Which is something that used to happen to us a lot in the past. When we people started to become proud and started to depart from the Most High, used to bring calamities upon them. You understand? To remind them that here it is going on. Is the boss here. Verse 16 and say, no, verse 15 and say, the Lord had plucked up the roots of the proud nations and planted the lowly in their places. Right? And we used to be more, when we used to be more lowly is when we actually used to be in charge. And the Most High actually used to be working with us, because he wouldn't have worked with us if we had a proud spirit. It's only when we started to become proud and started to go off, then when we had to go under other nations, really and truly, to be able to humble we spirit once again. And then it was like a repetitive cycle. We would put we in other nations, we would become more humble and more obedient. You put we in charge. After a little while pass, we get proud again, back into slavery to get humble. You understand? So really and truly, you understand, humility is a real important thing, because anytime you start to become high-minded, Most High doesn't find favor with you. It say he took, it say verse 16, it said the Lord overthrew countries of the heathens and destroyed them to the foundations of the earth, right? It say he took some of them away and destroyed them, and had made their memorial to cease from the earth, right? It say pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of a woman. Because really and truly, there's actually one of the trials that we had to go through. It's like all the other temptations that we had to resist. Pride is one of them. But really and truly, Israel really not supposed to have that kind of spirit. We're supposed to be humble under the Most High, but due to the situation that we're in and what we had to endure for now, until that time passed that we could receive the promise, there's something we just had to endure. You understand? But as the scriptures say, to he that overcometh is the ones who will receive the big rewards. So there's just something also, just like all the other temptations, that you had to try to overcome. You understand? It's today James 4. I'll start from 6. I'll say, but he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, the Most High resisted the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. So your mission is ready to try to be the opposite of proud, which is humble. Like I say, proud, humble, humility, and effeminate is two different things. A man can be humble, but he still had to be a man. When the time comes around to do what he had to do, he still had to make decisions as a man. But that don't mean that you could be of a high mind and think highly of yourself. It's two completely different things. You understand? And that discernment to be able to tell the difference is always very important also. That's something is always had to pray for that discernment to be able to see when you're being proud or humble, or when you're being effeminate. Because the Most High don't deal with effeminates. He just deal with humble men. So, hope you all learned something. With that, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to the Akim around the world that pushes truth in sincerity. Shalom.